When I woke up this morning, I put the song on and listened to it. I also listened to some Andrew Lloyd Webber. Well, I don't know why I told you that. Because I was listening to a song called Seeing is Believing. And this song challenged me when Margaret sent it to me. And she sent it to me saying that she and Eric both loved it and would think that's a great song. But when I heard it, I was challenged. Because, and I don't know if any of you out there were challenged. Yes, I see your head shaking, yes. Because to say, yes, God, I believe, felt to me like I was going back to my old roots in Christianity. Yes, I understand. And I can understand how you could feel that. And yet, listening to the song, certainly the lyrics that lead up to the phrase, yes, God, I believe, it's just so powerful. It's so, so I said to Margaret, I said, you know what, let's do it, and then I'll explain it. And as I woke up this morning, I was laying there in bed, and the sun hadn't come up yet, and I was thinking, who am I? Who? Actually, what I thought, how dare you think you have to explain something like this, how it communicates? And I'm having a conversation with myself and saying, well, because it could be misunderstood. People could come in here and think, this is one of those churches that believes in God is out there. Yes, God, I believe, as though we're talking to something outside of us. But if we are truly going to transcend past this understanding of God as being something separate from ourselves, then we have to figure out a way to negotiate and navigate in this world that will communicate just that, because most of the world believes that God is a separate entity. Yes, they teach that we are connected with, we are one with, all of that, still dualistic in its nature, but a better understanding of God and man. God and man. And yet, what are we doing here? We're saying God as man. God is man. And I get that that's a huge hurdle for many of us to cross. I think when the time comes, when we actually do it, it will be like, the rainbow comes out and the sun shines and everybody's like, oh my God, it was me all along. Right? And I think when that happens, and I know, how many of you has that happened for at some point, did you really get it? Yeah, at some point we really got it. Oh my God, it's not out there. It is out there, but only because it's in here. So this month we're talking about vision, and you cannot have vision without faith. And Liza left her talk on the note of faith. And the question I have for all of us today is, where does your faith come from? What kind of faith do you have? What is faith? What is this thing called faith? Yes, God, I believe. Yes, James, I believe. Yes, I'm saying to myself, yes, I believe. Why do I believe? Where does my faith come from? Does it come from, and here, listen to that, does it come from all of those years kneeling in St. Bernard's, the first 8 years, 8, 6, 13, the first 13 years of my life? Well, the first 6 years I wasn't doing much but playing. But once I hit sixth and went to first grade, I was kneeling every morning in a parochial school. The boys on one side, the girls on the other side, and I was in the middle. No. The boys on one side and the girls on the other side. And I was kneeling to God, praying to Jesus, to Mary, to Joseph, to any of the saints that would listen to me, right? Praying, knowing they were hearing me. The knowing is what got it activated. I believed it. My Aunt Agnes every morning walked to the Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul and knelt in front of the Blessed Mother with the rosary beads and did a rosary. I remember when I had my final audition for West Side Story, she went and prayed, and she told me on the phone, I will be at church that morning doing the rosary. And at that point in my life, I was like, it was that rosary. It was that rosary, because that put it over the edge. Now I know it really was other things as well. But it was that rosary, because that rosary told me it was a done deal. And I believed it. So does my faith come from all of this? Yes. So don't throw away your religion and your God so quickly to think that it's not part of the faith you have. This has been a long journey, everyone, a long journey to the self. I don't know why I'm crying. it has taken a long time to get to a place where I can stand here and say, I believe in God as God. I believe in this universal presence. I believe in this love. I believe in this creativity, this energy. I know it's what I am. I know it's who I am. St. Augustine said this, faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. That's St. Augustine. That's pure science of mind. Faith is to believe what you do not see. We teach the mental equivalent. You hear me say all the time, and many of you ask me what it means, we only get in life what we are equal to. Well, here's what it means. You will only get in life what you have faith in. That's the truth, because your faith is your mind. And what you are equal to in mind, what you are equal to in your faith, your beliefs, that you will demonstrate in your life. If you don't believe it, don't expect it. And frankly, that's this whole week is expectation week at Mental Muscle. If you don't believe it, you can say you expect it, but you don't. You're hoping for it. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. You're leaving room for it to turn some other way. But if you have faith, if you absolutely believe it, then you can expect it, because they are linked. So, faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. So I have to ask you, what are you equal to? You want to know the answer? Look at your life. That's what you're equal to right now. Whatever is going on in your life, that is what you are equal to right now. You are equal to what you see in mind and what you believe in your heart. That is all you are ever going to experience. That is all you are ever going to demonstrate. That is all that's ever coming to you. You do not deserve everything on the physical plane. Universally, you deserve it all. But on the experiential, you only get what you are equal to. That's how it's set up, folks. It's called the law of cause and effect. And it is backed by the universal premise that right where I am, God is. The problem is we've put so many walls, so many barriers in front of ourselves. We bought into so many yeah buts. How many of you just want to get rid of your yeah buts? Get rid of your yeah buts. Get rid of your butts. Get rid of your yeah buts. Right? We have to learn how to get rid of all that negativity that's telling us, I'd love to do this, but that's a yeah but. Yeah, that would be nice, but I didn't grow up that way. So, R. Buckminster Fuller. How many of you know him? F. Buckminster Fuller. Architect, philosopher, and futurist. It says F, but I have read R because I'm not wearing glasses. But I think I'm doing great seeing all of this. Seeing, vision. I decided this month not to wear my glasses at all when I was up here. So it's F. Buckminster Fuller. Architect, philosopher, and futurist. But here's what I love about him. He was expelled from Harvard twice. And as soon as I read that, I went, man after my own heart. But here's why he was expelled. First, he was expelled because he spent all of his tuition money partying with a vaudeville troupe. And I was like, oh my God. He spent all of his tuition money with actors. This is my family. These are my people. And then the second time, they took him back because he could pay. Somebody gave him the money. And then he went back, and then they expelled him the second time for the other thing that I do, refusing to conform to rules and regulations of the school. How many of you are in that boat? And I totally say, refuse to conform to anything that asks you to conform, because anything that's asking you to conform is not telling you and not allowing you to expand. There is nothing to conform to. There is only that which there is to allow and expand into. So he took great exception to the phrase and had a really hard time with the phrase, seeing is believing. And here was his quote. He said, seeing is believing is a blind spot in man's vision. Think about it for a second. Seeing is believing is a blind spot in man's vision. So the question I have for you is, do you need proof before you're willing to believe? And a lot of you are probably thinking, yeah, I kind of do. I want proof. And yet we're saying the exact opposite here, aren't we? Faith is seeing something in mind, not having to see it out here. Do you need proof to know that you are God? I guarantee you, if you need proof to know you're God, you're never going to believe it. And I don't mean to disrespect you, but most of you have reasons to say why you're not God, don't you? How many people here have very good reasons why they can say I'm not God? I do. Who are you people? We all can prove it. Wait, I'm way too this to be God. Wait, I've made so many. How many people here have made mistakes in their life? Raise your hand. Raise them high. How many people have made lots of mistakes? Wave your hands. There you go. So good. Okay, good. It's a great picture. Right? So to say I am God means that I am perfect. I've made no mistakes. No, it doesn't. To say that you are God only means that you have the capacity to make mistakes. That's what God is, this infinite energy, this creative energy that bubbles up through me, that lives me, is me, gives me my mind, allows me to think, allows me to create. And as that creative energy that is God, I can make the biggest mistakes of my life. Or I can make some great choices. I'm just a choice. It's called volition. I'm a choice. I can do whatever I want with this energy. So what causes your faith? Faith is a strong, now here's the deal. Here's one of the definitions of faith, a strong belief in God. Everywhere I went, I was like, oh, God, there's God again. A strong belief in God. Whether you know it or not, this center, this spiritual center, stands on a premise of pure belief in God. And you may have a problem with the word God, I get it, some of you do, but I'd like to disabuse you of that problem and just tell you you haven't heard the correct understanding of God, and that's the problem. God is nothing more than greatness on demand. God is nothing more than this loving, creative energy that is the very essence of who and what we are. And I know it's hard to turn our minds around when we've grown up with a God that's so vengeful and so unpredictable, and yet it's not. God is not unpredictable. As God, I am the most predictable thing there is because everything I think shows up. Whatever my beliefs are, it materializes. And you can't get around that. You can't even pretend. And I know you're all really good at pretending, aren't we all? It's like, no, I am prosperous. But over here, we're like looking at all the negative figures and saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? But we're, I am prosperous. Those are just affirmations. And affirmations mean nothing unless they are connected to a belief. An affirmation is just a really nice way of making yourself feel okay for a moment. And then you're back to the checkbook. Really, that's the way it works. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any of you that love affirmations. You can love them all you want. But if you're not going to attach them to something concrete that believes in them, the faith that can motivate those affirmations to actually move and do something, don't waste your time. Spend it trying to figure out how do you get back to understanding who you are. So God is causation, God is love, God is energy, God is people, God is you, God is me. It's all of us. So how much faith do you have in yourself? The title of my talk today is Seeing is Believing, or is it? Great picture. Seeing is believing, or is it? Where does your faith come from? How much faith do you have in yourself, and where does that come from? Are you willing to believe something bigger than you? We have to believe in something bigger than our own. Here's the other thing that religious science does. Sometimes it can go askew, take us askew in our minds. It can make us think, you could possibly think that what I'm saying is you're God. You are the infinite substance of the universe. Well, I am saying that in theory, and I am saying that because that's the spiritual truth, but not this. Not this individualized expression, not this body, not this momentary space that I take up, because I am not just this. I am a mind that just expands into the allness of life. And in those moments, when I know who I am, everything is possible. That's what we do here on Saturdays. I spent 6 hours here again yesterday, and every time I leave this space, and we had a wonderful day, of tons of people coming through. And when I left this space, I had spent 6 hours remembering who I was. It was wonderful. Just exhausting. It was very exhausting because my body was exhausted, but my mind was just, pow. That's what we have to remember. So, seeing is believing, or is it? Well, frankly, here's the problem. Seeing is believing, and most of us live our lives this way. What we see, we believe, and we buy into things based on what we see. All of our limitations come from somewhere along the line. We picked up a limitation, believed it, and now it's mine to live. Whatever that is. We went to dinner the other night, Kevin and I, to friends from this center who are all vegans. And, it's tough to go to a vegan house for dinner when you're a carnivore. And yet the food was amazing. It was a beautiful meal. But I left there, and Kevin, I swear to God, we barely got in the car, and Kevin said, "Please don't tell me you're becoming a vegan." Right? He said, that I will never have a steak again, right? We're done. And that wasn't what I really felt at that moment. But then I started to read it. They gave me a book to take home to read. And so, is Jeff here today? No, they're not here. They're off planting vegetables. No, but I started to read it, and I started to read what the body can do when you treat it well. Well, I already know this. I teach BODs, being our dynamic selves. I know that the way you treat your body is the way your mind thinks about your body. So frankly, it's very true. What you put into your mind is the way your life unfolds. It's that simple. If you want to put terrible things in your mind, your life will unfold accordingly. It's just that simple. So it's not that seeing is believing or believing is seeing. It's that we first have to get rid of all the things we have decided to believe in that no longer serve us. Get rid of them. They're still there. We get it. Yes, I've believed that for a long time. But that's not where my focus is going anymore. I am no longer going to believe that I am limited in any respect. I am no longer going to believe that growing older means I have to be old. Anne Monahan said it yesterday so brilliantly. She sat on this stage at her ripe old age of whatever that is, and in this beautiful little skinny outfit, doing a class called the Aging with Power. And she basically said, and when she said it, I just went, yes. She said, just because you're growing older doesn't mean you have to be old. A 2-year-old is growing older. A 10-year-old is growing older. A 50-year-old is growing older. A 100-year-old is growing older. And why stop there? Because they told you had to? This is where we have to go with our mind. I have to see it here, believe it here, and then watch it come out here. And I have to be willing to be able to see whatever's going on out there and not take any of it as actual, factual truth. It's just the facts, folks. And if they're the facts, you have the bigger thing in mind, and that's the truth. So this whole concept of seeing is believing as we get to the end of the Vision Month, there is more, so much more to be seen in mind. There is so much more that as yet has been unseen for you to see. There is so much more for you to tap into. There is so much more of God that you haven't even begun to explore, nor have I. And there are brilliant teachers in the world right now stepping up and saying, don't just stop at the perimeter. Jump off and see what is out here to know. See what is out here to feel. And so I wanted to say to you and commit to you at the end of this month of vision that my commitment to this center is to jump off, find out what more is there going on in this universe that we don't know about. What more is in here for us to explore so that when I say I am God, I not only mean it, I live from it, and I don't allow anything beyond the truth to come in here and cause me to wait to see it, to believe it. You have the faith of God because you are God, and that faith, that belief is the very thing that is going to take any desire you have, any plan you have, any vision you have, and bring it out into the world. Are you ready to go there? Yes. Because that is where we are going. Namaste. Thank you. Yes.